Welcome back to another installment of FarfaCast. Today, sorry for the big break and stuff. TCG's not been super fun, but we'll get back on that next week as well, hopefully. We're going to be discussing the 3v3 YCS that's upcoming at YCS Atlanta. Do we have a date on that? It is March something?
16th, I think.
Yes, 16, 17 March, Atlanta,
Yeah.
Georgia. So, pretty hyped. Yes, exactly. Today joining me is the team captains of their respective teams, Raphael Neven of Complexity Card Gaming, Typhoon Bayraktar of Eman Games, and Ryan Levine. We'll call him acting captain of ARG. Shout outs to Calvin. Anyway, let's just jump straight into this. So, 3v3 YCS. What's your initial impressions? Raf, give us your first thoughts.
I was so hyped. When they announced it in the venue, because they didn't announce it on the site yet, they went like, we want to give you some special announcement. They're not ready on the site yet, so this is very special. And we were playing, Bowden, Josh and me were playing the 3v3 final at that moment. And then they said, we were like in game 2s, and they said, first YCS of the new season. First ever 3 versus 3 YCS. And we just all stopped playing, and we looked at each other. I was looking at Josh and I was like, what the fuck? This is so high. Like, it was uncontainable. I was to my opponent, said like, sorry, I need to post this right now. I'm so hyped. I was shaking. It was so sick. Yeah, I can't wait for it.
Nice.
That
yeah.
Live reaction. I wish I had it on tape. Like, George and me were like screaming. We stood up, and the judge as well. The judge who was watching the finals, like, he didn't even say anything. He was hyped as well. Like, he was so hyped about it. Yeah, it was sick.
I think it's like a really good step forward, not just because it's like a cool fun event, but just for like I think the competitive future. I personally believe I should
for the game. It's amazing, especially now in formats like these. 3 versus 3 takes so much randomness, so much variance out of the game. Everything you hate about playing Yu-Gi-Oh right now gets fixed in a way, or at least a bit, by playing 3 versus 3. Yeah, it's the best thing they could have done.
Typhoon?
So I first heard about it on Jeff Jones' Facebook page because he immediately posted it. And it really makes me want to go to the USA for the first time because I haven't been at an American YCS yet. Raf is there all the time. People like Bowden and Darren, they just travel all the time. And I really want to go to Atlanta now. And yeah, I hope I can do it.
Ryan, your sponsor of sorts has been doing team events for a while, so you're very familiar with team events and 3v3s and stuff. Is it as exciting as we think it is, and how hype we believe it's going to be?
Yeah, I was very happy. Like, I haven't been actually like excited for an event in a long time.
I know, right? I know.
But I was like, when I read this, and when the as dumb as this sounds, when they posted the FAQs on the site, and the 3v3 team logo was just there, and it just says like Team YCS or something. I couldn't breathe. I was like, this is crazy. And I'm just hoping that like the entry mat, or I hope there will be an entry mat with that logo, or I hope the top cut mat just is the regular top cut mat but with that logo on it. I just hope there will be like some special, maybe a field center like they did for the 200th. I just hope there is something with that logo on it, something to like commemorate this, because if it isn't successful, this will probably be the only one they ever do. If it is successful, I hope they'll do more.
I think what I'm scared of is that the participation drops because casual players can't find a team, and something like a participation mat like they gave for the 200s and all Australian YCS would be really good, because then casual players just come.
Yeah, they need to have something extra as well.
I think they do for sure. And on the FAQ, I think the craziest thing is they have a contingency. There's like a section. It's like they have kind of like the parent section that they have set up at YCS now. They'll have like an area that'll be labeled like waiting room or something. And if you don't have a team, you can go and like talk to people that are like looking for people on their team.
That's sick.
So I imagine it'll be something like there will be someone there and it'll be like, hey, I want my team to have like a Sky Striker deck on it. Like, I'm playing this, my team, my friend's playing this. And then they like pick people to be on their team. And then if that doesn't work, I think they said starting at like 9:30. Like, it's on the FAQ. I just haven't read it in a few days. It's like you can just go to the judge like at the end of sign up and say, I don't have a team. and then they will put you on one. Obviously, if there's like an odd number of people, then they won't have you in a team, but they will put the single entrants. They will like randomly pair them with other single entrants and then give them a team. So if you want hard mode Yu-Gi-Oh,
That's what I was gonna say.
go up there. You can just go up there and just team with 2 people and just see what happens.
It's just the open challenge to the public. If you top
Yeah.
a 3v3 YCS, having gone through the random selection process, that top will count as 10.
Yes,
points
it
for-
counts as more. It definitely counts as more.
So yeah, overall, I think this is very, very positive. I don't think there's any form of disgruntlement or any kind of like upsetness over this. I mean, I thought that, but then I made my video on YouTube, and I was actually really surprised that there really is like a portion of players who are upset about this, who are like, this is
Really?
yeah, like there's people who, and it's mostly the issue to do with finding partners, getting a team together. And there is definitely an element of apprehensiveness for some players because of just the fact that social interaction or something. I don't know,
Yeah.
but
I know,
it
it's
is
hard.
definitely pretty hard for some people to be able to get teams and stuff, and this might dissuade them from going to the event.
It was such a shame because it's the play style is so much fun. Like I was talking with Josh about it, and just imagine that you're sitting next to your like friends the entire YCS, right? You
Yeah,
don't play
exactly.
alone. Like it's gonna be so much
So
fun.
much banter, so much like
Exactly.
yeah.
Like Bone and I had so much banter just when we were sitting next to George and me as well. Like 3 vs 3 is like so much fun all the time because I played it like a few times already, and every time it's so much fun.
Yeah.
You don't have to tell them your salty story how you lost because they were
Because they saw
because
it.
they were there. They were right there.
Exactly.
That's my favorite thing about YCS is the bad beat stories. That's what I look forward to. Please come up and talk to me for 20 minutes at a time and tell me your full round report, guys. I really enjoy it when you guys do that. Anyway, sorry, I guess maybe probably just to structure this a little bit more better. So for those of you who actually, as I see a lot of people in chat actually don't know how this works. So the way it works, and we're going to be talking about the structure in a second, but just and we'll go more in depth. But basically, to give you just a sense of how it works, you have a 3 versus 3 where you each individually play one person from the opposite team. So it's still a 1 versus 1, but the game goes on at the same time. And even if you win your match, your team can still lose because overall you need 2 victories total across the 3 in your team. So it's basically 3 1v1s that unfold at the same time, that happen at the same time. You're allowed to communicate and collude with your teammates to the side of you, etc., etc. 45 minutes on the round, and that's basically how it's structured. So we'll be talking a little bit more and breaking down each part a lot more as we go into this. But the next part that I wanted to talk about, the next topic that I have here, is I guess just mentioning a lot more about the esports factor. Like when I first saw this and stuff, I was like, oh my god, this has so much potential for like actual rosters, for personalities to have like stables on like the Konami website or something. Like there's so much potential for this in like the actual just realm of esports, because the World Championship this year, which Ryan Levine attended, by the way, stream. Ryan Levine was there. They had Konami Esports. Barely. They had Konami Esports as one of their logos. So it seems like, is this something they want to take seriously? Do you guys know much about esports? Would you can you imagine like this being, this is looking way far into the future and stuff, but can you imagine if this was able to be pursued full time and stuff like that? Like what do you think like the horizon is for this if this goes well?
So, I don't know what exactly was streamed for the Finals of Worlds. Like, was it just the matches? Like, just the Dragon Duel Finals, the
No.
Duel Links Finals?
Yeah, not even all matches, which was pretty disappointing.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
wasn't.
I know it
Who
was
was
just
Duel
the
Links?
finals. I know it was just the finals, but was it just those 3 matches? Like, there was like an opening ceremony. Was that streamed?
I can't remember.
I can't remember.
So like at the venue, there was like, as people were like coming in, there was a DJ and they were playing remixes of like the opening themes from like all the Yu-Gi-Oh
I'm
animes.
sure they didn't stream that, otherwise.
And then they had like at one point they just had like a whole like drumming section. It was crazy. I don't even know how to. So like if
So the
stuff
chat
like
says it
that,
was
like
streamed.
if stuff like that happens, then like I don't know, that could be kind of hype. But I don't think there's anything for that in the budget like at a YCS to get like an entire squad of drummers to like play the opening theme of Yu-Gi-Oh. Like that doesn't seem like a good use of resources.
No, not at
I
all.
don't know.
And it's not
so-
something
I don't
we
think
want,
they-
really.
Yeah, it's
I
not
don't
something
think they
we
have to do that.
want. Like
They just
it was
keep-
cool. It was cool as like a one-up thing. What I did like was, did they show like the entrances for the players?
I think so, yeah. I think I remember
Where it had, like, a
Bolden
video-
Temnik. I think I remember that.
Yeah, it was crazy. Yeah, and then he comes in and, like fireworks shoot up, and it was everyone's like, yeah, that was insane. Like that's where the budget should go. The budget should go for having a guy like yelling someone's name, and they walk up, and then like fireworks shoot up.
Stage lighting and stuff.
That'd
yeah.
be crazy. Yes, that would be crazy.
I think the prices have to get better though if you really want to go at esport level.
Yeah, for sure.
You'll never get the same like prestige as video games if you keep giving out rubber mats for topping a over
Hey, man.
1,000 player tournament.
You win a
It will never
PS4, so you can play the video games at the good prices. It's a gateway.
So, yeah, I think that needs to change before they really attempt anything on that level.
Do we know anything about the prize support structure for the 3v3?
No.
Oh yeah.
No.
Nothing.
But we pay $60 for entry because 3 people attend.
They've already got the costs and entry sorted, but the prizes not yet.
I expect free trophies, otherwise it's not worth it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd hope. I mean, like, I imagine at minimum, I hope it's just like each person gets what used to be the YCS prizing. I would hope maybe they'll change it, but like if it's less than that, I'd be
That
very
is
concerned.
Very disappointed. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be really disappointed if the prizing, which is like sucks for them, they have to get triple the prizing, and maybe that's why it took so long to get the 3v3 approved or whatever. Why it's like,
Yeah.
you know, why we're getting it now in 2018 randomly, but or 2019, I guess.
I mean, if you get like the same stuff as a YCS, I mean, we don't want to like rattle on about how bad prize support is, but like it's a known thing in the community that you have to do hard labor to actually make money off of the things that
If you don't
won.
get third or better, you're not making like
Yeah.
it's a waste of your time,
We can
like
play
which
side events,
is
so you
sad,
can
but
watch more.
yeah, yeah. So I'm
3
hoping
people
that they'll-
splitting the first place prize. Yeah, that's what it's gonna be.
they just put the prize card. Yeah, you have to fight over the prize. They make the teams duel each other
Yeah.
for the prize.
Plot
That's
twist.
crazy.
Plot twist.
Plot twist. Yes.
Yeah, that's my only that's my biggest concern is a lot of players who are not in this kind of like, you know, I feel like for us here in like the super competitive thing, like we have this like bubble when we just live in this bubble, and you know, we have our peers and other teams and stuff like that, and you guys are like, you know, not just like players, but you know, like, you're my friends in Yu-Gi-Oh as well, and we have just this like enclosed space. And we don't really understand what it's like for like the regular people to go to these events. And I think that for a lot of them, it is like a concern that maybe they're really looking forward to a YCS, and then it turns out that it has to be a team YCS. And I think like that's probably like going to be a big inhibiting factor for them to really take part in these events and stuff, is like finding teams and finding partners and things. But despite that, I really hope the attendance does, you know, blow up completely, and we
Me
have
too.
something for the
I
future.
really want one in Europe as well. Because
Yes.
This is
Europe has its
I
own
hope
problems with
people
hosting
realize
3v3
how
that
good
we
it
can
is.
talk about. But
I hope local stores like organize 3 versus 3, like
I was about to say that.
Yes.
to,
Oh
like,
my god, that would be so good.
just to have like to show the more casual players that it's actually so good for the game if you play it. Because if you have never played it, then I guess you need some convincing. But that's why I hope local stores, and like I already asked like one store to like host a local with this, even with like random teams, just 3 versus 3. Because if you play it once and you like the game but you don't really like the performance right now, you will be sold instantly. So if they can do such a good job if they put effort in this, if they help local stores organize these things, like maybe give OTS stores a little bit of like more price support for special 3 versus 3 locals, especially in America, because it's going to be in America.
Yeah, you have like OTS tournaments, right? Where you can do an OTS match. They could something like that, the Yu-Gi-Oh! Day with 3v3s, just to advertise the YCS.
Yeah, exactly. If they can do such a great job, I really hope they don't blow it. I'm really
That is a concern
Don't
actually.
screw it up.
I'm actually gonna make a note in my phone right now to message my local store owner to tell him to do a 3v3. Hold on,
Exactly. Yeah, everyone should do
Continue.
it. Every local store.
Continue.
Everyone invites you. Call your local store. Oh
Yeah,
no, say you want a
yeah.
3 versus 3 tournament.
It's a great way
Yep.
to create hype.
Alright.
Like just get a
Note
whole
made.
bunch.
Yeah.
Get a whole bunch of 3v3s going and stuff. That'll be amazing, even at the local level, so we could experience what it's like. It'd be even it would even make practice for the event itself. It'd be great, you know, to generate that hype.
Like, if you don't have a team yet, just meet up with people from your locals. That's
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you
Basically,
don't have to have to have like what's it called, like a team. You know, it's just you can literally just enter with 3 people.
No, yeah.
yeah. You don't need jerseys. You don't need social media. That's all just fancy. If you just find 2 other players you're good with and enter.
You don't need to be like in some heavyweight, you know, world star team like, you know, like CCG and E-Man. You know, you could be like this little group of friends who, like ARG, for example.
YCS Org. You know what's sick? When we were on that team, like I think almost every member of that team just lived in the same house. That was yeah.
There you go. See. So let's move on to the structuring. Let's talk about how the actual event is going to be spaced out and stuff. So it's just a regular sort of YCS, except it's, you know, you're going to have 3 people playing at the same time. I assume they're going to have the ABC function, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Because
for sure.
Yeah,
that's
they
how
should.
you make it like fair, because you have to decide who's player A, etc. before you see your opponents, right? So you rest as player A, B, or C, and then B sits in the middle, and it's the only one who can talk to both sides, which is really important, which makes the
Is
choice
that true for
player B.
Yu-Gi-Oh, or is that only because I know that's the case in Magic? Is that confirmed?
This is how it works at every side event I played in.
Okay.
It worked that player A was like plays player A and talks to player B. Player B can talk to both sides, and then C can only talk to B. And for everyone, it's the same rule that you cannot touch the other's cards. You can point at them, you can talk about them, but you can't touch them. And and you can like discuss with the person next to you, which is broken for people like Typhoon and me, because if our team is Dutch or German, they don't have any idea what we're saying, which was like huge. At like the 3 vs 3 in Jersey was sick because we had the Dutch team and they were discussing in English and we started to talk Dutch. And they asked the judge, "Is this allowed? Don't you have to speak English?" And the judge was like, "No, of course not. What if you can't speak English?" So it's like if you are a European, if you have a European team, Swiss or French or Italian, please try to go to Atlanta, because it's a huge advantage, because you can talk your native language and they won't have any idea what you're saying.
I mean, I feel like for the most part, like when I'm talking to my teammates in a 3v3,
you always use like some kind of coded language, right?
No, I mean, not even that. It's like they don't know what we're saying anyway. It'll be like my teammate will be like holding a hand and he'll like show me 2 of the cards and be like, "Which one do you think is better?" And I'll be like, "That one," or like the one on the right, and they'll be like, "Okay." And like if I said the one on the right in German, I don't think that would like give them any more information. Like I don't know, maybe I'll have to like see it. Maybe I have to like play against a team speaking in German. I'll be like, "Oh, I get it," like and just get mad. Like,
it's an advantage
What
regardless.
happens is that they talk while they're playing. They don't even have to look at each other, but they talk while they're playing, and that's why it becomes super hard to actually pinpoint what their strategy is, what they're talking about, which is very easy when everyone talks English, because in a language you know, like English, it's also really easy to hear emotion. So you hear if they're confident or if there are doubts in their place. You can hear those things if you understand the language, which I found. I found that my opponents found it really hard when we were talking Dutch. I was just playing. I wasn't even looking at Dutch and just saying stuff in Dutch. And it would make them really nervous as well.
Table talk, right?
Can't wait. All right, guess I have to learn 4 European languages before March.
Dutch terrorism. Definitely. I'm so Monka-esque right now. I'm so scared. So yeah, that's Raphael's suggestion, guys. Go learn a random African tribal dialect so no one understands you, and you'll win. But anyway, I wanted to mention the ABC function again. So yeah, so you pick an ABC player in your team. A plays A, B plays B, etc. for the opposing team. So you don't just see someone and be like, "Haha, yeah, I know that guy. He's shit. You play him," or something like that.
No, yeah, it doesn't work like that.
So what kind of strategies can we see, for example? Like, because obviously positioning is now a big deal. You put your the middle player has that communication avenue, right, for both plays. What kind of strategies do you think we'll see there? Because in Magic, one thing that people do is, at least that's so I'm told, they put the control deck player in the middle, and generally those games take longer.
I thought, like you put the combo player in the middle, so it's done really easy. So you can assist either player A or B. So I'm not sure which strategy you would take there.
Well, in Magic, they put the slowest kind of game in the middle so that both players
Yeah,
can
I
sort
heard
of
that as
watch and
well.
interact. But yeah, there's definitely some strategies that we could see developing through the kind of positioning. What do you think, Ryan?
I think it's like
Human zone
Yu-Gi-Oh,
placements.
I think in Yu-Gi-Oh, it's a little different in that like decks aren't as cut and dry as like aggro control, and like sometimes games are long, sometimes they're not. Like no matter what deck you're playing, but it will be something to see there. I think there are a lot of different ways to do it. Like just some things that I've thought about for my team is like, do we put Calvin in the middle? Because if anyone's ever played against or like next to Calvin, he just spews nonsense the whole game. He will draw his card, say the dumbest thing you've ever heard in your life, then play it and say something even more dumb. Like it's crazy. And then like, do we just put him in the middle so everyone hears it?
So all
like,
five people get tilted,
so
not just three.
people just hear Calvin spewing nonsense? Or do we put him like on the left and we put like me on the right so like I don't hear Calvin and like see, you know what I mean, and like see what happens there, and like so we have like one game that's like not tainted, and then like the other two games are just like, you know, no one knows what's happening. But examples of Calvin doing this, I think you just have to like watch him like exist. Like I don't even know how to like, I can't even, it's actually like just I hear him on a daily basis now, so it doesn't even like, I don't know. He'll draw, like he'll activate desires. There's actually a feature match from YCS Toronto 2016 where he played against Blue Eyes. This was when like Blue Eyes first came out, and he did not know what any Blue Eyes cards did, and he got like the top 32 feature match, and they wrote down everything Calvin said.
Oh my god, I gotta read this after the stream.
It is the craziest thing ever. In game 3, he goes anti-spell. His opponent twins. He chains Magic Deflector. His opponent goes, "Why did you side in Magic Deflector?" And Calvin goes, "For your quick plays." And the guy's like, "You mean Twin Twister?" And Calvin goes, "And the other one." And the guy's like, "What?" And Calvin goes, "There is another one, right?" And the guy just shakes his head, and Calvin goes, "Oh well."
Is it not been Silver's cry?
He thought Melody was a quick play, so he sided in Magic Deflector.
Melody of Awakening Dragon.
You probably remembered Silver's cry.
Oh god.
Yep.
But okay, yeah, that's something we can talk about is siding. So you know you can discuss with your teammates what to side and stuff. And I don't think there's anything unique you can do there other than you can just get help.
I think you should already know that, right? You can discuss
Yeah,
it
that's
before.
your own preparation you have to do for the event.
Yeah,
The only thing, like, the only thing I will say is interesting that I think, like, so, like, a lot of people, and I guess I'll ask all of you guys which category you fall into. Some people don't read cards until they come out or until they become meta relevant, and then some people, like, read every card. Do you know what I mean? Like, as soon as a card comes out in Japan, they, like, look into it and they see what it does, and they, like, look ahead, and, like, you know, so they usually like are aware of like all of the rogue decks and like what every card does. And some people like they just play the meta. Do you know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I don't even know what the current cards do. So what do you guys? say?
But I mean like
yeah, like you read all the sets and stuff.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of an example recently that would like
Prank Kids. Do you know what Prank Kids?
Sure.
I don't.
Yeah, like
who here knows
Kids,
what Prank Kids do?
I'm not saying Prank Kids. I don't think are like a tier 1 deck. I don't. They're not unplayable. You know,
Yeah.
like if your opponent plays Prank Kid cards, it is possible for you to lose. If someone like Calvin played against Prank Kids and like he played against it, he definitely has not read a single Prank Kids card. That's not anything really against him. He just doesn't read cards that, you know what I mean? Like he uses his time to do other stuff. So like if he's player A and I'm player C and the person player B also hasn't read Prank Kid cards, that's like maybe a problem, right? That maybe you put the guy that reads every card in the middle.
Yeah,
So if something comes up that only he would know, you know, or maybe even one of your friends that's like the best at rulings. So if your friend can be like, I think this is how this works, but I don't want to just like die. You know, I don't want to like if you're like, if I bell Hawk, can he still make Colossus? Like, I don't know. Like, I need to ask my friend. Like, you want the person that would have that information to be sitting in the middle.
Yeah, that's fair.
The meta sheep in the middle.
I think generally the best player should be in the middle, just because he can talk to both.
That's probably a good like standard.
And some players, they are really bad at multitasking, so they don't talk while they play. They're always quiet. Those players should probably not be in the middle, because they get distracted from both sides, and they have to pay attention to all three playing fields. And when they ask something, maybe they start slow playing because they have to stop their own game and just talk to the other person. So it should probably be someone who is good at multitasking.
This is one thing that I wanted to bring up next, was the collusion aspect, I guess. And when we're discussing the asking for help and stuff, what we do know is that this YCS is going to be 45 minutes. So it seems they've only added 5 extra minutes total for a 3 versus 3, which I personally feel like it should be like 50 minutes plus. But like, for example, if I'm like doing a play, and I don't know if I want to go ahead with a certain line, like, and I turn to Ryan and I say, hey, what should I do here? And then he has to like take a look and understand the game state from where I am, because he hasn't been paying attention the whole time, so he has to now analyze and look at everything. Like, if you're sitting across from me, at which point you kind of have to say, like, judge, like, this is far too long. Like, you're getting like 3 people to analyze like one line.
It'll
of play.
be interesting.
That's gonna be interesting. I hope they release some kind of statement on that before.
I think they have to.
Not that while playing YCS we will see, or they just go along with what they feel like. I think there need to be like really clear rules on that.
Cause I really don't think 45 minutes is enough. If they really want to, like, at that point, it really doesn't become like a 3 versus 3. It's just like, you're playing 1v1s that so happen to be contingent upon the result of the 2 people sitting beside you, and there isn't really that team element, which I feel like that should be something that's emphasized, which is discussing things with each other. And I don't think 45 minutes really allows for that. But yeah, they do need like something to say, like, you can only talk for X amount of time, or I don't know. It's really weird. Like, where would you guys like draw the line between, like, this is obviously just taking too long?
Well, sadly, I don't think there's like a hard rule. Like, if they speak for 8.7 seconds, like, it's too long. I think it's something like, it'll just have to be reasonable. Like, in the same way that, like, what I usually do, and this might sound like arrogant or like conceited, but like when I like am playing a game, if my opponent has like searched cards, right? And so like sometimes they'll be playing Goki, right? And they'll have like searched like 3 or 4 cards, and I know like every card that's like currently in play, like in their hand on their field, I will think about what I think their best play is. And when I'm done thinking, then I ask them to play faster. Like if it maybe that sounds dumb, but like if they're like, they just search, rematch and 2 Gokis, I know every card in their hand, I'll be like, so I guess they summon this, they activate rematch, they link for this, then they could firewall, turn that into that, summon that from their hand, maybe they add back, summon that. I think they're going to gumbo on me for 2. If it takes me like 4 to 5 seconds to think through all of it, I'll be like, okay,
you lost me at rematch, just saying.
Yeah, stuff like that, right? Like when I'm done thinking through their turn, like I'm not even playing the deck. Like when I'm done thinking through their turn, I think it's like reasonable that they should have been able to think through it at like a similar, like, or at least start playing. Even if they haven't thought through all of it, they should have at least gotten like a couple steps into it and can at least like start.
But here's the thing. So like you've thought out the play in your head, and then, perhaps as a second avenue, now they need to take time to ask the person in the middle who's done or something. So that's more time for that person to then think. But do you know what I mean? So it's almost doubling the time. Right?
Yeah. Which is where I think
what is slow play in in a normal tournament should also be slow play in a team tournament.
Yeah, I agree. So I think to cut that down, maybe what you have to do, and this will be maybe where like speaking another language is an advantage, is I'll look at my hand and I'll maybe even say something like, all right, Calvin, I can end on, like, I can either search anchor, or I can search, like, I can either search double anchor, or I can search shark cannon anchor here. and it takes the same cards. What do you think is better against this game state? Like now my opponent knows that would be like obviously I would search both those cards so they would know I have them anyway, but maybe they didn't know those were my options or whatever. And then like he'll probably have to say like one is better than the other, and he probably and that whole interaction probably has to take like less than 15 seconds, right? Because like otherwise that's just taking too long for like simple interaction. So like when it gets more complex, I guess more time has to be added there. But I think that's a good assessment of like, even though there are 5 extra minutes in the round, 5 minutes is not a significant addition. So if you think they'd be slow playing normally just because there's a second person talking them through, it doesn't make it okay. They still have to play at a reasonable pace, which is what the documents have always said. They have to play at a reasonable pace. There is no hard rule, right? They just have to not like. You'll know it, as dumb as that sounds. Like when you're getting bored because your opponent's not playing a card, like that's when you know it's slow play.
I think like the best solution really is like, obviously, tell your opponent to like play at a reasonable pace when you feel it's like the right time. But I do believe like a 3 versus 3 should have more time. Like I really think that these events should have like 50 to an hour.
I like they gave us any extra time.
32.
I'm happy they at least added 5 minutes. To be honest, like I did not expect that at all.
Yeah. I thought it was a mistake when I first saw it.
I'll take what I can get, man. I'm not gonna complain. Only 5 minutes should have been more. I'll be like, damn, I can't believe we got 5 extra minutes. That's insane.
I think that's because we're playing less rounds. Because if the same amount of people enter, we have a third of the teams. So
that is true. There will maybe be less. Yeah, you're right. There might only be like 8 or 9 rounds of Swiss because there'll be so few people or so few teams. I had not considered that. I was
asking, like, do you think they're gonna do top 32?
Isn't that what they said?
It's crazy because 96
people topped the event. I mean, I feel like that is interesting. That they might not. I feel like maybe they still should. I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah, so much is still unclear though.
Yeah, but that is interesting. I hadn't considered there'd be some fewer rounds. Yeah, wow. Because like, let's just think about it. Do you mind if I pull up the policy documents real quick? Is it my keyboard might clank? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. I just want to.
I just checked the numbers here for what's it called? The teams and stuff. So like, if you have like an average attendance of 1,500, that's like 500 teams. That's like 9 rounds.
That's what I wanted to look at. What the round cutoff is. This thing I hadn't considered previously. I would have done more research on this had I. I'm just gonna look at like
top 16.
What?
Man, they took away the FAQs
top 16 could be a thing. They could just do like instead of top 32.
Well, no, because they actually changed it. All YCSs are top 32 now. Even the ones in Mexico that got 300 people, or not Mexico. In Mexico actually got more. The ones in Brazil. I think there's one in Brazil and there's one in like Colombia, I think, where they got like less than 300 people and they were still top 32. So they've changed that for those at least.
Is it still top 32 even if there's like 5,000 people?
No, it's 64. I believe it caps at top 64 though, because the 200th the YCS was top 64 at all places.
Okay. Just like Long Beach, right?
Yeah, Long Beach was, I believe, top 64 as well. Okay. Anyway, sorry, I just need to find the rounds per attendance. All right. So for 129 to 256, it is 8 rounds. For 257 to 512, it's 9 rounds. For 513 to 1,024, it's 10 rounds. So I think there's no way this event cracks 3,000 people, right?
Yeah.
Like there's no way we get 3,200. There's no way we get 3,200 people. So let's just cap it there. So I don't think it's like possible for this event to be more than 10 rounds. And if we get under 1,500, it'll be 9 rounds. I think it's reasonable that we'll get between 750 and 1,500 people. I think that sounds reasonable. Like I don't think a 3v3. Atlanta has always been a pretty big YCS.
Yeah.
Like it's in a pretty good location for like all the East Coast players in the US. It's been pretty big. So I don't think attendance will take that much of a hit because it's a 3v3. And in fact, I think it might boost it. So I'd say we're probably playing 10 rounds. Seems safe. Like at most 10.
Yeah, so I mean, 10 rounds seems kind of standard for like smaller YCSs, right?
Yeah, but it's possible that we play 9,
Yeah,
which
Yeah.
would be interesting as well.
I think it's more likely to be 9. So I mean,
Yeah.
you could have had like 7 rounds day 1, 2 rounds day 2 or something to like really like
Yeah,
give people more time.
They might.
Which I think would have
Yeah,
been
they
good.
might just
I feel like
change-
being restricted by time is like unavoidable if you just have a 1 versus 1 YCS. But in a team YCS, when you have like so many people, but then all of that gets divided by 3,
Yeah.
you can make room and adjustments, I think, for more time. But anyway, let's moving on to the actual lists themselves. So the way it works in Magic the Gathering is in their 3v3s, you have a completely shared card pool. If you play 3 Ash Blossoms, your teammate cannot play any Ash Blossoms. If you play a Firewall in Yu-Gi-Oh, your teammates cannot play any Firewalls. But that's not how it is. It's just going to be straight up standard constructed, so you could all of you could play card for card the exact same
That
list.
would have been cool though.
That would have been insane. Wait, is it confirmed to not be that? Have they confirmed that's how deck building is
Yeah,
going to be?
it says
I
in the
thought it was
FAQ
still-
it's advanced constructed decks in the Swiss
Oh,
format.
Really?
I think the attendance would take a hit though if you do that. Even though it's
Yeah.
probably more fun and even better for the game.
Yeah.
Probably a lot of people who want to play Goki in America. They're like, oh, they just one of us can play Goki, and then they just don't go because they can't to other teammates who don't want to play it.
I think it's not even that much of a problem with archetypes, but just with generic cards. If one player
Yeah.
plays a combo deck with Reboot, the other one cannot play Reboot, so he
Yeah,
has
or
worse
hand
special
traps,
cards.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
hand traps seem worse.
And then same thing with stuff like terraforming. It's like, what do you want terraforming to be searching? Like, do you want it to be searching area 0? Like, do you want it to be searching light stage? Do you want it to be searching diagram? Like,
So
only one deck can play terraforming, right?
it's never been official and stuff, but there are actually like official. It's never been premier rather, but there are like official rules for tag. And whenever there are tag tournaments at locals and stuff that we've had before, I don't know if you guys have ever had tag locals, but the way the ban list works there is all unlimited cards are unlimited, but anything that's semi-limited or below is shared. So you can only ever play 1 Raigeki between you, but you can play 6 Ash Blossom in tag. So that's the way.
Okay.
So unlimited cards are unlimited, but anything below that isn't. What do you guys think about using that system? Because that's
I
like the
wouldn't-
closest thing we have to, official duos and
Yeah.
stuff.
I think
in
with
Yu-Gi-Oh.
that rule, semi-limiting cards would actually make sense.
Yes, I agree with that. Then, like, I think the semi-limited list or the semi-limited section of the list would actually have a purpose, which right now it doesn't, except for very specific circumstances. It just like doesn't. Like Mali at 2. Mali is the only, and like Reborn Tengu are like the only cards that like being at 2 would make sense ever.
Yeah.
Maybe Dragoons.
Dragoons, yeah.
But yeah, the way it is now is anyone can play any deck they want. I mean, do you guys think that's kind of bad in a way? I mean, like we complain about like an FTK mirror or something, and now it's like, well, you could have 3 at the one time. It's like, does that really sound like super fun? If there's like a best deck, or like a tier 0 deck, and it's just like 3 mirror matches ongoing.
I think it goes both ways, right? So if there is a best deck, and it's just standard Yu-Gi-Oh, and like everyone's playing the best deck, right? Then like you're preparing for the mirror, you're playing 3 mirrors, and
You're
prepare
having
for that.
those mirrors anyway.
Yeah. However,
Just this
if
time,
there's a
they're
best
staying next
deck
to each other.
and only one person can play it, then unlucky, I'm player A. We let player B play the tier 0 deck, so players A and C can't. Well, their player A is playing the tier 0 deck, which means our player B gets a bye and their player A gets a bye because the tier 0 decks weren't playing each other. Now the only match that matters is player C. I hope we built their side deck correctly to beat the random rogue deck that he's playing. And like that's what would happen almost every round, which is like another form of preparation, right? It's whoever has the most well-rounded decks, but like it's not perfect in either way. Like that's what I think is like people often say like tier 0 formats, or like they say like, oh, there's only one playable deck, or like, oh, there are too many viable decks. Like there has to be a sweet spot of enough decks to give variety, but not like 12 super polarizing decks that you can never prepare for. Because if you're equally likely to play against 10 different decks that all do drastically different things, there's really no way to prepare for that. You just have to hope you play against the matchups that you're favored against.
Ref?
That's EU format right now.
That's what format?
European format right now is like that. We have like 6 or 7 decks that are really good, and
Which
if you
don't
prepare
suck.
against Danger FTK, you get checked by the Rongo, and if you prepare against Rongo, you lose to Sky Striker and stuff.
It's kind of the same way here too. Like Summon
I
Sword,
think
I think actually just makes those just makes some of them decks slightly
Nah,
better.
it feels pretty much Goki.
Yeah, and I think in America you can just prepare for combo decks, and I think everybody who topped the YCS...
Everyone says that, but then Sky Strikers keep winning the events. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't
they
get it. I don't understand. I don't get it. It's crazy.
Yeah,
prepare for
this was
Buki.
pretty prepared for combo.
Yeah.
2 weeks till Sorceress in Europe, boys. Not long.
I don't even think Sorceress is the
2 weeks
biggest
of
problem that
fun.
comes out in that special edition. I think the
Yes.
Neospatian guy is ridiculous, but that's for another
Stupid. That card's so stupid.
that's for another time. That card is unacceptable, but
I have to ban Gumlar in like within 2 weeks, or we're gonna have hell.
yeah, I'm pretty sure. I mean, like, I think it's very unlikely there's going to be a list before Milan. I hope there's one before Sydney.
I mean, I've
But
said it
yes.
like so many times now. I've called it. I said like we won't get a list effective until January 2019. I don't believe we'll get one until next year.
That
But-
would be so stupid.
It would be terrible. I hope I'm wrong,
Yeah.
but that's
I'm
what
pretty sure. I'm pretty sure Konami is like the master plan is like they have to show Japan what happens when like all these ridiculous cards are, like allowed to be legal.
They're not gonna.
And I
care.
think they just have to like sacrifice YCS Milan. They just have to sacrifice it. It's like, well, I mean, just release Neospace Connector, whatever. Just do it. Just give them everything. Just let it happen. Just see like,
can just
let-
imagine,
nobody
like-
will have a hand. Yes, hand loop everyone.
I can just imagine Matt Bell with like the top cut list of Milan and just emailing it angrily to Japan. Like, look, you did this. Oh,
No, they really have to fix it before. Otherwise, just another event wasted.
Yeah, I mean, people keep showing up though. That's the thing. Is
Yeah,
like,
I mean, you can't blame them, right? I mean,
yeah, you really can't blame them when it's like, what was London like 1400 or was it more?
yeah.
Oh, Pasadena was 1400. Pasadena was
Pasadena
huge
as well,
too.
like,
Pasadena
I know.
and London were huge. I think it's like people just like Sky Striker and just hope
the
hope they
To be
get to
fair,
not play against
nobody
the combo
who
decks.
planned to go to London knew the Danger FTK would exist.
That's
That is true. That is
Came out 2
that is
days
true.
before.
Yeah,
But for Pasadena, like everyone knew, so
everyone did know, and everybody was like prepared for it, like air quotes, prepared for it, but like not really. Like I don't know how. And then the wrong just steamrolled, but.
yeah, I was gonna say I feel like Pasadena had quite a small turnout by West Coast standards.
No, San Diego in 2017 was way smaller, but that was also like San Diego was really weirdly positioned. It was like Dallas was huge and Spiral just came out and then Spiral dominated Dallas. Then there was like an emergency list right before San Diego, but all it did was make Spiral like a little worse. It didn't actually change anything.
Made
So
it a bit
everybody
more
was
fair.
like,
it's still stupid.
what?
Did you go there?
It's made it just a bit fair.
Yeah, and then like it was just attendance was just way lower, which is weird that like I don't get why it was lower turnout than Dallas, but anyway, so this was a pretty big, like the West Coast events are usually bigger, but this was a pretty fine turnout.
Yeah, someone brought up a good point in chat. Like, I paid 800 for Sky Striker. You better fucking believe I'm entering with Sky Striker.
Yes, yes, correct.
That's definitely the case for a lot of people.
How do you pay 800 for Sky Striker?
They
That was a joke.
Oh, thank God.
yes, it was, but they,
I'm like,
they paid a lot for their
who's
engages.
got
Yes,
it?
yes, they paid a lot for.
I'm
their
sure from like
engages.
the ground up, like 0 cards, like to a full 70 card list, like maybe
Yeah,
it's like that much.
buying permanent.
Yeah,
That's actually something that whenever people talk about costs of decks,
I don't know.
they're like, this deck is $1,000, this deck is $1,000, and it's like, well, you're not buying impermanence every time you change your deck. Like that's not like I don't own 18 copies of impermanence. Like that's just not.
You
Like,
don't?
But then you have to
Like,
re-sleeve
I don't-
them and stuff.
yeah. Oh, you're right. Yeah. Yes,
All
I
right.
re-sleeve my impermanences. I don't buy a new set every time I play a new deck. I'm a peasant.
So talking about the 3v3, I think we've covered pretty much everything. I don't think there's anything super relevant that we've
I
left
just don't
out.
know how they're gonna do feature matches.
Yeah, feature matches are gonna be.
That's
Well, they're not going to do a
Almost
feature match
do.
anyway because it's America, right? So they'll do written feature matches.
Yeah, they do written shit. I mean, their nationals had the stream, right?
I mean, it's because of the budget. That's why.
Yeah,
Like
they definitely
the
stream
reason,
nationals. Yeah,
the reason they don't stream every North American event is like the cost of streaming an event. This is gonna get very technical, so maybe I'll save this for after the cast is over, and anybody who wants to keep watching can listen to it. It's about like labor laws in the U.S. and it's really stupid.
But surely,
So, if anybody.
Okay, right. Well, okay, we'll leave that till after. Is there anything you guys want to mention or go over before we wrap it up here?
The one thing I want to say is I think maybe like the thing that we talked about with like limiting the limited cards and semi-limited cards for one per team might have been a way to like pseudo ban Firewall, right? Because then Firewall would be banned for 2/3 of the players. Like that could have been why they even did this event in the first place. Like that was what I thought when someone first told me about those rules. It's not happening, so but I think that was an interesting consideration.
Yeah,
It would have been an interesting workaround, but sad.
I'm a little bit sad because we know for definite, like it's cemented that we're not getting any sort of alternative rules. Like one thing that we know from the FAQ that's confirmed is like 45 minutes and the ban list structure for that event. There's no I don't see anything here that's unique to 3v3s other than the registration process, I guess.
I think they will add, like this is obviously like the FAQ is not done. Like there's no way the FAQ is just like 2 paragraphs.
No,
right? Like there's definitely going to be more here. Like there's going to be the prize structure. There's going to be the prize structure. They're going to add the public events, which I feel like they might have different public events because the main event is a 3v3, right? So I don't see any reason for there to be a 3v3 side event. I feel like they might even replace the 3v3 side event with like something else. So not that really matters, but
yeah, like imagine cherrying someone, reveal Firewall, and your opponent's like, haha, my teammate has it.
Yeah. Yes. Basically.
All right. Yeah, we're probably going to hang out for a little bit longer to talk about other things, I guess, for now. But if you've been watching this so far on YouTube or wherever, thank you so much for listening in. This has been a 3v3 overview courtesy of your 3 finest teams in the TCG. So thank you guys for joining me. Appreciate it. And until next time, see you then.